So, it's the new moon, and happy new moon to anybody who's joining me for this lovely reading. We've got 3 cards which are lovely and dark with a glimmer of light at the end of them. And here they are. We have the Tower reversed, the 9 of Swords, and then the beautiful Strength card that come up. And these 3 cards are the reading that we're going to look into for this new moon. I've just been speaking to my community members about these cards and how I wonderfully relate to some of the story here. So let's see if I can't translate something in a version that more people can touch and maybe get some interesting and useful message from. It starts off with the story of the tower, and this is the reverse tower. So this reverse tower is this chaos, this confusion, this destruction that is sometimes invited in our lives by our attachment to the tower, which represents our identity and our ego and all that we build around that makes us feel strong and stable and grounded and special and big and important, and all those qualities that, and all of those aspects of ourselves and our lives in general that we've built an identity and an individuality around. So the tower represents that divine lightning strike that comes and says, hey, that identity doesn't serve you. Those things that you've built are actually restrictive to your growth, are holding you back, and so we need a little bit of destruction so that you can experience a rebirth, so that you can embrace something new and take off those masks, those false versions of yourself, the identity that is not you. Take it off. Get ready to take it off. There's a resistance here with this card being reversed. But I experienced this a few days ago as an invitation to be drawn into chaos. And so there was a potential chaos that could happen. And look, everything's really bad. And if I was drawn into it, I could be drawn into a very sort of negative mindset. And I was invited to be drawn into it. And I was like, no, I don't want to be drawn into it. No, it's not as chaotic as it might look. No, it's not destructive. No, it's not the end of the world. No, maybe it's a good thing what's happening. And I was drawn, I was invited to be afraid. I was invited to be scared. I was invited to be worried. But instead, I chose a different reaction. And maybe that's part of why this is reversed, or that's part of why it is for me anyway, right now in this reading. But when life invites us to be afraid because of potential disaster, because of potential chaos, because of the destruction that we might see on the outside, it could be imminent. It might happen, it might not happen, it might just be a potential, it might just be something that looks terrible, it might be something that appears to be so destructive, how could it ever be good type story. When there is an invitation to jump into fear or jump into doubt and lower your vibration or lower your sense of peace in life by these external experiences or these external prompts that are asking for you to recognize the disaster, maybe we need to reframe what a disaster actually is. And the death and destruction of anything that could be egotistical, and our ego is definitely, or part of our ego is definitely attached to fear. So part of that tower is built on fear. Part of it is built on a protection that's based around fear. And so whenever we're invited to strengthen our fear, maybe be willing to throwing ourselves out of the fear of chaos and the embracing of whatever destruction needs to take place is part of what this upside down tower message is all about. Then I was confronted on a personal level. I woke up this morning really with a bit of like, oh no, and the fear was coming in, the doubt was setting in, and it would set in maybe a dream that I can't remember. But I did wake up at silly o'clock this morning, and it was my conscience doubting the choice that I had made previously to not get caught up in the chaos, in the drama, in the potential destruction, and just have faith and just sit in that faith and sit peacefully and know that, hey, everything is going to be perfect. It's all going to work out in the end. But this morning at 4:30 in the morning, no, I woke up with doubts. So I sat and meditated, and these doubts are natural. This fear is natural. This anxiety that was in me, yeah. I hadn't obviously learned the lesson properly. I hadn't really grounded myself in that peaceful state. I was still susceptible and vulnerable to that external influence that was wanting to pull me into the fear of chaos, into the fear of destruction. And then, yeah, I sat, did my meditation and a bit of yoga, and then I find a little bit more peace inside of myself and realize that the whole story is blown over and there was no need for fear in the first place. And this was the beautiful lesson of how we can give our power away, how we can give our power away to the fiery passion of excitement and fear and drama, and how it can be even addictive to worry about the mundane and the physical world and how it might be manifesting or not manifesting in the way that we might desire it to be, and forget about that purity of sweetness, that part of us that is, you know, is connected to the infinite, and the strength card is this inner feminine part of us that says that our true power is in how we are capable of staying connected to that peaceful, pure, lighter, loving, caring side of ourselves. And it's interesting because the message of caring came up too, and it was, and sometimes we think that caring means that we need to dive into the fear of catastrophe, because if you staying at peace and there's potential catastrophe going on around you, well, you obviously don't care, right? You obviously don't care enough to get involved and get drawn in and get pulled into the disaster that could potentially happen. But in the bigger picture, at least the lesson for me, it was that no, if you care properly about your own state of awareness and the consequences of the influence your awareness will have on the environment and on the outcome as well, then if you really do care, then stay peaceful, stay calm. We don't always have to be drawn into the drama, and being drawn into the drama and trying to and buying into a fearful potential outcome is actually not caring at all. It's the opposite. And it's probably going to attract a different type of outcome that's probably more tower-like. In the end, for me, this whole experience washed over. It was like a big wave that came over. And are we going to relax in that wave? Are we going to allow the wave to pull us under, and we're not going to struggle, we're not going to fight? Because if any of you have ever been in a big wave, you know that if you fight against the wave, you'll get out of breath, you'll have a very dark experience underneath a wave that's too big for you, and it'll hold you underwater, and you'll be in the bubbles, and you won't be able to come to the surface. If you relax, if you stay in peace in that tumultuous, chaotic tower moment of the wave splashing against us, then it will, the bubbles will release and you'll come to the surface, and you won't get over anxious. You won't spend all of your oxygen and energy trying to fight against Mother Nature's force, and you'll come to the surface in a lot more relaxed way. And this is true power. True power is not actually in the strength of the wave, but so much in our ability to stay centered in our peace and stay connected to that infinite inside of us. Anyway, this is the simple message for this new moon. I hope you relate in some way or another. I hope it helps you all find a little bit of peace in potential moments of chaos that are taking place in your life. Have a wonderful week or two, and I'll be making another new full moon reading in a couple of weeks. Much love to you all.